But I do remember having to like hold that back, because when you get into the sales side, the thing that people forget is to actually ask for the sale, right? So, we talk about that. So, like I know some of our coaches who teach on sales and business development for ATDC always talk about that, and they'll do like role playing, and they'll be like, well, what's missing? You guys were role playing on this, what's missing? And like, when they're like, everyone has every other answer except for they didn't ask for the sale. So in taking it back, and so many things cross-reference back to my engagement in real estate for so long. One of the things I learned very early on was most realtors never ask, like they're walking through the house, and let's say it's a house or a property. Let's say it's a house, and the family is like, oh, this is nice. That's nice. And they're talking about, oh yeah, this would work. And, this could be so-and-so's room and all of that. And, they walk out the house and they lock it up, and, that was nice. And the realtor never says, do you want to buy it? Never says that. And the thing is, most people, it doesn't even register that they do want to buy unless you ask them. So ask the question when you're in sales, but when you're doing customer discovery, be genuinely curious.
Oh. Yes. Ask the question. Yeah. I mean, that is, I wonder how often that happens where, you had the sale. All you had to say is, do you want to buy? Yeah. I was thinking about this on a similar note today, which is the kind of opposite of that. But I think I'm going to have to actually close the book on a couple of people. So there's this idea in sales where you say, let's just close the book. You're not going to buy. And then they're like, oh, no. I'm interested. How it worked for me oftentimes was they would say, you would call them up and they would say, I need to talk to, my partner or whatever, and then, or need to get boss's approval or blah, blah, blah. And you would go through 4 or 5 calls back and forth. Mm-hmm. And eventually you would just have to say, listen, man, I guess we're not, the sale's not going to happen. Let's just go ahead and we'll close the book and thank you for your time. And then they would oftentimes say, no. And so I started doing that as a salesman. I was like, oh, that's actually helpful, and it saves us both time, because if they said no, it's also fine, because then you're just like, okay, good, I don't have to bother.
That's right.
Continue. But when I first started doing that, and then I was buying a car, and the damn guy closed the book on me, and it worked. He said, listen, I can sell this car to 5 other people. I don't need to sell it to you, Adam. I'm like, no. And then I was like, oh, you got me. You got me. And I was like, there are stuff that we could all use from a used car salesman, learn from a used car salesman.
So I'm going to tell you, one of the sales trainings that I took, I've done so much in sales training because I had to get comfortable with it. No one ever teaches that. No one taught me that. And so someone actually posted on LinkedIn today that MBA programs need to include sales in the program, because if you're creating real leaders, they have to know how to sell. So one of the sales programs that I took, and I actually still reference back to the books and all of that, was actually meant for car salespeople. Let me put it that way. Yeah. And the closings, the negotiations, all of that stuff, of course, I tailor it to myself, but those are all the same tactics that I use. And that's how come I know how effective it is with car salespeople. It doesn't work on me because I'm very, stingy. I don't like spending money. So if a car person say, hey, I'm closing the book, I'm like, oh, good. I'll find. So I'm like a car salesman's worst nightmare. And so I'd be like, oh, good. I have actually walked out of a dealership after giving them the down payment check and everything, because I have. And I said, give me my check back. And I literally left the dealership. You know how this is what people should not do in sales. So you know how you've agreed upon a price, And then you're going through the final, everything to sign. And that price is 10, 15%, 20% more for something that was not discussed during the initial quote proposal, the handshake agreement. So it was one of those things. And so when I was looking over the paper, I was like, this is not what we talked about. Yeah, but we think you need this and that. I was like, oh, really? I don't think I need it. And I'm not paying for that. So anyways, I said that tactic alone, first of all, what you're selling is not unique. It's not, I can buy this somewhere else. So your tactic literally just lost you a deal. Give me my check back. I had literally, the ink was still wet. I had just passed it over the table. And I walked out and I bought not the same car, but I bought another car somewhere else. And so people have to be careful of that. But the strategies in cars selling definitely work no matter what you're selling. You just showed you were selling websites and it worked.
I mean, that is such a cutthroat business that I think I would rather, if I was hiring a sales team, I would definitely rather hire a used car salesman over like some like MBA student or something like that.
That is a fact. So I actually tried that. Did I ever tell you about trying to hire? Yeah. So this car salesman he sold cars, he sold furniture, which is another thing that's hard to sell. I mean, just extremely talented when it comes to selling. I mean, literally, he's one of those people you can sell ice to an Eskimo. And so, of course, me being me, and you're being resourceful as a startup founder, right? Of course, I tried to recruit him for selling my tech. And it's like, oh, yeah, sure, I can do that. The problem is that he refused to use a computer. He's older. So he wouldn't be able to like track anything. I'm a technology software company. Like we use technology, right? Like I need to communicate over Slack with you, right? Like this salesman like only uses cell phone to actually make calls. Like who uses their phone for calls nowadays? So it wasn't a good fit. But if you can find a used car salesman, he sold luxury cars, used cars, hands down, the best salesperson ever. And so smooth and like low pressure. I mean, it's just amazing. But the not using technology was just, I couldn't bend on that. And he wasn't willing to learn. Right. He wasn't willing to try.
Yeah, well,
I sell, I don't use tech.
Yeah. I think about that kind of more often now than ever, which is like, are we limiting ourselves in our decision-making processes because of we're trying to fit people into holes that we expect? Exactly. So, is there a whole group of people that are not getting investment, for example, because they don't communicate the way that an investor communicates? And the answer to that is probably yes. And I think that it's, important for the person who's looking for the investment to, be able to talk at that, be able to work with an investor that way. But I also think investors can find a better way to change how they're reaching out and communicating, or be flexible enough at reaching out and communicating with people that maybe aren't the ones that are going to, it's kind of to the thing you posted in Slack today about the Y Combinator.
Yes. Yes.
Which was a fascinating read to me. And it's this idea that, part of his thesis was this thing is now just a place where people who made are project managers at Facebook or something come to hang out for a couple as like, he said sabbatical.
He did.
He kind of meant summer. He meant summer camp, almost. And you need more hustlers and you need more of this and that. But the hustlers are trying to make money. Like they can't, it's that idea of, and I appreciate those people that can like work to do the free internships and all this kind of stuff. And they have, either the family money to be able to do that or whatever it might be. But you have to appreciate that those people have a leg up in a way that other people do not. And so it's worth thinking about. Not only are my expectations the right expectations, but is there a way that I can kind of grab a set of talent that I'm not currently doing by just changing things around a little bit? It'll be interesting.
Absolutely. And for that used car salesman, he's still in my Rolodex. I'm coming back for him. That's a fact. I was just like, it was so tempting to say, because I even thought about it. I'm like, maybe I could just have, a part-time person that just does 5 hours a week for me to enter in stuff into the CRM for him. Like, the problem is, as in the bootstrapping phase, that's just another person to manage, right? But you're right.
And I think I think you're right. I think the size is like when you're at the bootstrap, all you can do is do everything you can do, and like you can't have people who are prima donnas or in any way, shape, or form. It's unfortunate. That's just, you can't have that luxury there. But it would be fun if you could like just go and test drive cars for a week and just hire off the best salesperson at each place for your company and see what happens.
You know what? But that may become a reality, because as we know, people aren't buying cars the way they used to. And some of those folks may be interested in giving tech a try. Like, I wouldn't rule it out. And if there was some type of, here's another business for someone who's interested in doing a service business, there was some type of sales training to convert car salesmen into being able to sell technology, and then companies to be able to recruit from that pool. That would be incredible.
That's actually a really good idea. Yeah, because I was about ready to say that the problem is the good car salesmen don't want to stop selling cars because they're making good money. But it is. I mean, no one's making money, I can't imagine, car salesman wise right now. I mean, and that there's been a long time of kind of state regulations that allow or require basically dealerships. But those seem like they're kind of falling apart more and more. And, Carvana or Tesla are finding ways to sell direct to consumers through the web, and there's not negotiations, and there's all these other kind of things that kind of car salesmen made their living off of. So it's kind of like those people that all the code schools that popped up a couple of years ago, where you're like, instead of going to computer science for 4 years, take this 3-month course and learn to program basic applications and stuff like that. And now there could be like that same kind of idea for technology sales.
I say we do it, Adam. ATDC starts a program. We have a whole bunch of used car salesmen, and we start training them on tech sales. That's our value add.
I couldn't. It would be something, but I don't know if I could. It's like teaching your dad to use the phone, use the cell phone, right, or video call,
right.
It's more than I can handle right now. I couldn't imagine having that with a bunch of car salesman people.
Right. It takes a certain level of patience, definitely.